there was a little bit of news for those who are interested about D. Williams, Tennessee's return specialist, who also technically is a defensive back. D. Williams posted an Instagram story a couple of days ago, I think it was yesterday, of him next to Squirrel White and said almost time, ? Most of Vol Nation is reading into that maybe D. Williams is going to see some action on offense. So with Brew McCoy hurt, I don't think he's obviously not the physical presence. He's not a blocker, like you said. He's not going to win one-on-one battles at wideout, but he's very shifty with the ball in his hands. Gyro, should Tennessee consider D. Williams on offense?
I don't see why not. I mean, he can only help you. Like you said, I don't think with Brew McCoy going out, you're not splitting Squirrel White or D. Williams outside to replace Brew McCoy. So I don't think it would be in replacement of Brew McCoy or anything like that. But I think if you have packages for D. Williams, like jet sweeps, or maybe line him up in the slot sometimes, give Squirrel a break, I don't see why not. It makes it even more important now that Dante was hurt. Squirrel had to play every snap, which I know they don't like to sub on offense, but still you want to get those guys a break sometimes so they're fresh near the end of the game. So if D understands the offense enough, which I'm not sure if he does, he could at least give Squirrel a break in the slot sometimes. He's a playmaker. I think if you just put the ball in his hands, he'll get some yards. We see it on the returns that always happen to get called back for holds, but he's able to make something happen.
I'm with you, and I think you do alternate D and Squirrel White in the slot because you're right. They don't like to sub. They don't like to sub on a drive, but they like to sub every other drive. They like to put different players in for every other drive, and then you play the whole drive. That's how they keep you fresh in this offense. And the opposite of Spurrier, you probably don't know this, but in the 90s, Spurrier had about 3 games where he alternated quarterbacks every play. He would bring in a separate quarterback, call the play for the quarterback, and bring him in. It was just the craziest thing. It helped. He upset Florida State doing that in 97, but he lost to Tennessee doing that in 98. I think that I am with you that I think you could alternate D. Williams and Squirrel White. And also playing the slot receiver specifically that's one of the positions where it's kind of easy to pick up this offense because you're just running go routes half the time anyway. Let's be honest. I mean, it's not what you're doing.
Yeah, I think if you put D out there and just tell him don't jump off sides, I think you're don't false start. I think you're good because there's only certain things he would have to do. You just know if it's run or pass, and then like you said, run his go route or run left or right. I think it definitely wouldn't hurt. And if they don't have a backup slot receiver, which you assume they don't after Dante's injury, then I don't see why you don't put him out there and give Squirrel a break. Or if Squirrel gets shaken up, just have D as a backup plan.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too with you. I mean, it's at least he's a backup, but then you could alternate them. I mean, look, this could be, to go back to our last segment, this could be, if they do this, it could be an indictment against Dante Thornton. Forget his health. It could be they just think D. Williams would be more reliable in the slot than Dante Thornton at this point, which that's crazy to think about. But am I taking a big leap on that?
No, I think you'd be right. And I'm curious to see D. Williams catch the football because we haven't seen a lot of people or a lot of wide receivers in this offense be consistently catching the football. So I wonder if D can catch passes from Joe Milton consistently, and I wonder what that looks like. I'm curious if he's going to post a video too to go along with his Instagram story so we can see if he's sure-handed at the slot spot.
Well, given Joe Milton's touch, I'm telling you, if you're not already a receiver, I don't think you can just plug a guy in to catch those 100-mile-an-hour fastballs over the middle.
No, he'll probably end up with a broken finger if he's not careful. But people talk about how confusing the offense is, and D. Williams obviously worked out with the defensive back. So I'm curious to see what he looks like and what he can do in the offense if he's given the opportunity. Like you said, I don't think they like to sub during drives, but obviously penalties, timeouts happen. I wonder if he can kind of sub in and give them something to do there.
Yeah, I think that would be a good move. I think again, like you talked about, at the very least, a change of pace. Bring him in for a jet sweep. All of a sudden, you have the defense on his heels for anything else. So then you bring him in a few more times. He's a decoy. I said the same thing with Joe Milton a couple of weeks ago. I had insisted for a while he needs to run more, and then he runs for 181-yard touchdown. Totally changes the UTEP defense. Totally changes the South Carolina defensive game plan against Tennessee. And all you needed was that one run by Milton, and then everybody's got to change up a little bit of what they do. And that helps him overcome his inability to make accurate passes over the middle a lot of times. So I think that if Joe Milton can't run next week still because he's got that brace on his leg, yeah, bring in D. Williams for a play or two. That's a total change of pace. And then all of a sudden, defense is consistently on its heels every single time he's in the game. Now, do you think that D. Williams is more fit? Now, let's put this out there because he's technically listed as a defensive back, but he's not really playing defensive back. He's only playing return specialist at this point. Do you think it's possible that D. Williams is more fit for an offensive player than a defensive player?
I mean, you always see the defensive backs returning the ball like a Tyrann Mathieu, but I think if he's a playmaker on kickoffs and punts when you put the ball in his hands, and I don't see why you wouldn't want to do that on offense. The first thing I thought of when I saw the thing you sent me was, is he conditioned enough to play in that offense? I guess because he's only returning kicks and punts. Is he conditioned enough to, run a go route, then go back to the line of scrimmage, then run another go route, and then do it for 7-8 plays consistently would be my only question if you want to leave him in long. But I think, honestly, just put the ball in his hands and let him make a play, which is probably what they tell him at defensive back, too, is just play the ball, and he's probably a ball hawk in the defense as well. We haven't seen him much at defensive back in any rotations at all this year, so I don't see why you don't just throw him at wide receiver or even in the backfield and just see what happens, kind of keep the defense on their heels. I don't know if you want to test that in high leverage situations, but if you're early in the game, maybe against Texas A&M, just throw him out there and see what happens. If it succeeds, then go for it. But if not, then get away from it. But just tell Joe Milton to throw the ball to the sky and tell D to catch it like a punt and see what happens.
If Joe Milton throws it to the sky, it might actually hit the moon.
D. Williams will be somewhere in the end zone, hopefully calling a fair catch on the pass. So
yeah.
Exactly. I mean, I think you have nothing. You don't lose anything if it doesn't work out. Then you just know you can't play offense.
Yeah, I agree, and maybe even line him up at running back on a play just for the heck of it. Just hand him the ball because with
just don't run it in between the tackles.
Yeah, well, on the right side it's okay with Cooper Mays and Javonte Spraggins, but don't run.
The other side might get him killed.
Yeah, the other side will get destroyed. All due respect to Ollie Lane, who I think was playing his butt off on Saturday. I just think that he hadn't been Spencer Riley we had on Monday, and he basically pointed out that Ollie Lane had been taking snaps at center since the middle of fall camp because of the Cooper Mays injury, so he probably wasn't fully ready to play left guard. Andre Carrick was hurt and can't play left guard, so I'm sorry to say that out loud, but
yeah, that was a very tough ask for Ollie Lane to go from the first 4 games at center to find out on Thursday that, hey, we need you at guard. And I think he did fine for what he was doing. I'm just saying, like, if those running backs can take a hit anywhere in between the tackles, my only thing with D. Williams would be if you throw him in between the tackles and he gets a big defensive lineman on him. There's no big defensive lineman tackling him on kickoffs. So that would be the only thing there. I think jet sweeps or get him on the outside of the tackles and let his speed go to work could be very successful. I still think, like I've said before, just test it and see what happens because you're not losing anything if it doesn't work because you still have a good punt returner.
Right, exactly. And we got a question from Daniel. Any info on Cam Seldon's progress? I don't think there's an issue with Cam Seldon's health. I just think that, look, guys, there's a lot of running backs that make noise in the spring as a smokescreen. And I just think that Tennessee has 3 good running backs right now in Jalen Wright, Jabari Small, and Dylan Sampson, and you're not really going to see any other running backs this year. I mean, that's how
and you have to remember all 3 of those guys went through injury in the spring too. So somewhere along the way, Cam Seldon became, running back 1 or 2 in the spring, which I think going down the road, he'll be super good. I just don't think with Jalen Wright, Dylan Sampson, and Jabari Small, you don't need him right now, which is good. Let him develop, let him learn from those guys.
Yep. Rocky Top Tom has the joke of the day, and Dave is going to kill me because I'm going to show this message when I talked about Joe Milton throwing it to the moon. And for those on our message board, Rocky Top Tom said that he'd missed the moon and hit a certain planet that is right before Neptune in our solar system. We'll just say that. One quick question on this. Here's a question of the year from Orange Blood. Why can't Joe take snaps under center? We something do victory formation from the shotgun in our own end zone. Taking snaps under center is harder than you guys think when you practice in an offense like this and you're always in the shotgun. It's not easy. It's actually easier to get into shotgun after practicing under center all the time than it is to get under center after practicing in the shotgun all the time. It's actually a lot more complicated under center. And I just don't. They had Hooker do it a few times last year. The one time I saw them do it this year was on a 4th and 1, and they got stopped on the 4th and 1 because John Campbell whiffed on a block against Virginia. I haven't seen them do it otherwise. We're not going to see a lot of Joe Milton under center this year, even on short yardage plays, are we, Gyro?
Probably not. I don't like the shotgun on 4th and 1, 3rd and 1, or on the goal line. I think you should be able. And now with Cooper Mays back, I wonder if we'll see it a little more. Calhoun, I wonder if they were worried with, you already have a new center and you throw in another wrinkle like going under center. I wonder if that's maybe why they didn't do it as much. I would like to see, Joe Milton, with Cooper Mays pushing Joe Milton just QB sneak if they're ever on the 1 yard line. He's massive. I don't see why that wouldn't work. So I would like to see it more on short yardage situations. I don't think we will see it more on short yardage situations. We'll probably just see a wide receiver screen.